Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be giving you a flip through of the Inventions and Ideas unit from Gather Round Homeschool. I obviously am going to go through all of it with you guys. I am going to show you inside of the teacher's guide, and then also, let's see, little one wrote on this one already, inside of the early reader notebook. So for those of you who may not know, I am a homeschooling mom to one, and she is almost 7. We're getting really close to 7. And so she is currently in the early reader level. So that is all that I have to show you. I will start with the teacher's guide and then go into the student notebook. A couple of things to note if you happen to be new to Gather Round is that all units are 20 lessons. You do need the teacher's guide that I showed you, and you do need the student notebook. You will need a student notebook for each one of your children and varying levels depending on their age and ability. I think that's it. I think we're just gonna go right into the flip through. So again, we will start with the teacher's guide and then go into the notebook. Oh, one quick thing. We're kind of flipping through this together. I have kind of briefly skimmed through, but I like to do the flip throughs as kind of a let's look and see what's in it together type of deal. That way I can kind of point out the things I see as I see them. So just something to keep in mind before we start skimming through. All right, see ya. All right, here we go. Now, one thing that is important to note is I purchase the digital version, and so I print these at home, and you will see that this is not Gather Round print quality here, so I just wanted to point that out before we get going. Yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about. So you have your teacher's guide. Of course, you see here I laminate the front pages. Here is always a note to the teacher. This just kind of tells you about Rebecca and how Gather Round kind of started, what's the Gather Round difference, all of that kind of stuff. Then we get into our table of contents. So as I mentioned, 20 lessons. And so these, from what I gather, it's more of an overview based off of a specific type of invention. So lesson 1 is why we invent, and then we have inventions that navigate, fly, thrill, communicate, part 1, deflect, illuminate, etc., all the way down. Okay, have your recitation. Y'all see that? Okay, so this is not Gather Round quality. This is I'm doing the best I can quality. Okay, moving on to lesson 1. So yes, lesson 1. So why we invent. You start with a little prayer here. I love that. And a nice little quote. So you have your reading. Okay. And then more reading here. I never knew that. How about that? These little things on the road, y'all, they're called a cat's eye. Didn't know that. Interesting. See? Learn something new every day. Okay, and then more reading. Here is a small did you know section. Okay, and then here is the end of your lesson and a little talk about it section. Yep, and then just a prompt to go into your notebooks. Okay, and then here we have a day at a glance. So this is going to tell you what's happening in your student notebooks, depending on obviously the level that they're in. It's also going to give you any answers to questions and things that you might need. And then obviously just continued on to the back. And then here we go on to lesson 2. So again, starting with your prayer, more reading here, and your small did you know section, and another did you know, more reading, a look it up. Okay. All right, now we were talking about the compass. Now it looks like we're talking about GPS. Here are some inventor, kind of important people highlights here, moving to more reading, and then a try it section, and then back at your day at a glance. Okay. All right, I will just kind of flip through a handful of pages here, but it looks like that is pretty well the kind of way that it flows through. I am seeing now there is an activity break. So lessons 1 and 2 did not have an activity break, but I do see here one on lesson 3. So that is good. All right, yep, we are just gonna flip through. This is obviously just the appendix here, some references, and that is the end of the teacher's guide. All right, so this one I do have to turn sideways if you are new to our flip throughs because I bind at the top. I find that a top binding works better for my daughter when she is writing. So I will do my best to kind of show you guys here. You're just going to have to kind of bear with me on that, okay? So we have a note to the student as always. And one thing I don't think I've pointed out before, but they have been including an address here that you can send mail to. So if there's something really cool that your child does, or even if they just want to write them a letter or anything like that, it has been noted that you could mail that to them, and they do go through those. And I think they have like a little wall maybe in kind of their Gather Round office that they kind of hang up some fun pictures that people have sent and things like that. So just kind of a cool little thing there. All right, your table of contents. So it's broken down a little bit more for you here, and it also gives you your subject focus. So using this little key here, you can kind of go through and see each day they're getting a variety of subject focus. And then another copy of your recitation and a note to the teacher. So this note says, okay, so basically this is just talking about the seat work pages. So this is when they decided to include the seat work pages in the front of the notebooks here. So we've already done a couple of units that have that, but that's just an extra little note from when they originally started doing that. So there are a variety of ways that you can use this. And I could probably do a whole nother video on that if that's something that you guys would be interested in. But this is essentially just kind of like morning work almost, just a little bit more intentional and focused kind of language arts here. So you have one for each week. So it's the same thing every day for the entire week. So you have 5 weeks of this seat work, because the intention is 4 days a week for 5 weeks. That is kind of how it is set up. Obviously you can do it however you want to, but that's why 5 weeks are included. Okay, so here we start. This is a note booking page. And this one, okay, is just talking about sharing ideas. And so for my daughter, this really would be dictation here. She is likely not going to write all of that on there. And here they are coming up with their own invention. This is what got her. She was very excited about this. So this is kind of a brainstorming page here of making their own invention. This side is science. It looks like they are learning about light and refraction. So kind of a little bit of an experiment type setup here I'm seeing. And then you also have this same page alert. That is helpful for those of you that have students who are using multiple different notebooks, leveled notebooks. You know that in each of those notebooks, they have this page. Now, obviously it is varied depending on level, but they're all essentially doing the same work. And it's something that they could work on together even. Okay, so this is all still in lesson 1. Okay, here we have social studies. Looks like they're talking about slogans. Okay, so like TV commercials is what I'm gathering here. And the last page, I believe, for lesson 1 is your Bible page. And this is talking about using hurtful or helpful words and things like that. Okay, so then here we are back onto a notebooking page because now we are in lesson 2. This looks more like my daughter's speed. We can handle that. So that's kind of cool. A little trace, a little color, a little match, and magnets. Don't know what that's about, but we will find out. All right, and here is another entire page on magnets that is a same page alert. So same with this, I am just going to kind of flip through, and we are going to get as much in the screen as we can here and just kind of show you guys a little bit more of the inside. So into the appendix here. So there's always this spelling game. Quite honestly, we've never used it. Or it's spelling games. So it's just ideas of spelling games. I probably should look into those, but you know. So these are just going to be all of your cutouts. And the nice thing is they do tell you what lesson and page that it's for. So that is really helpful. So it just goes through all of those. This is... what is this? Okay, a biography of Benjamin Franklin. So they just kind of make their own little book there. A paper airplane, a beautiful light bulb, and it looks like that is it for the student notebook and the teacher's guide. All right, so that is the inside of the Inventions and Ideas unit from Gather Round. A couple of things that I took note of are the teacher's guide. And I noticed this last time I looked through it. The teacher's guide just seems really heavy. Just seems like there's a lot of reading in this one. So I am really hoping that the app will have a good amount of videos and things that we can use to kind of break that up. That is one thing that I really try and do because it seems to help my daughter really retain a little bit more of the information, and she's more apt to listen to the next section of reading when we've had a small little break to watch a 2 or 3 minute video. So I'm really hoping that that is the case, but I still have to plan all of that. I still go through the teacher's guide and the student notebooks. I pick out any of those kind of experiments that we saw or any of the cool little extra extension activities, anything like that. I try and pull those out and make note of those, and I give myself little tabs. I actually did a whole video on that. I think with maybe it was our Africa unit, I did a plan with me video so you guys could kind of see that whole process. I will put a link to that down in the description. I also will link it at the end of this video. So if you're interested in that, just stick around to the very end and it'll pop up for you, and you'll be able to see kind of my thought process through that. But yeah, that's it. I am excited about this one. It's very different than what we have been doing and what we typically do with Gather Round. We're really loving the continent units, so I'm interested to see how we do with this one, but I think it might be a good change of pace for us. As always, I'll give you guys a review once it is all finished, but that is it for today's video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.